Hey, it's Marcus, and welcome to another episode of Between the Bellows, a show that combines large format photography and short documentary stories. It feels good to be back from summer break, and if you've been a follower of the channel, I'm glad you're still here, and if you're new, I hope you enjoy the series. So in this episode, we dive into the world of Kieran Wright, the artist behind Small Scale LA. He transforms the iconic architecture of the city into these stunning miniature models. He has a deep love for the city's history and captures the essence of LA's most beloved buildings, creating these little time capsules. Each one he calls a love letter to LA. So let's meet Kieran in his apartment studio.
I have a real interest in Los Angeles history, the buildings that really make the city unique and give it its identity. Ever since I was a kid, I've grown up really appreciating buildings and architecture. So I felt like this was just a perfect medium to be creative with, basically. It's the idea of like preserving these really interesting buildings, because like these little buildings are like beacons. They're like icons for the neighborhoods that they represent. And that's what really draws me to LA architecture, is like the whimsy of it. We don't really get that in architecture anymore. In 2020, I was working for an airline, and when the pandemic came along, I lost my job and had all this time in my hands, and I knew that I had to do something to keep myself entertained, basically. I'd always been interested in miniatures. You know, I'd never been overly artistic before, so I gave it a go. I bought a bunch of materials from Home Depot. I watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos on how to do it, and I just started creating. I put it online, and people were impressed by what they saw. It was at that point when I realized, like, maybe there is more to this, and maybe this could be more than just a hobby. I mainly use foam, cardboard, styrene, plastic. I do a little bit of 3D printing here and there, as well as lots of found objects. So one of my favorite things to do is go to like Home Depot or my local hardware store and look through all the nuts and bolts and weird sort of objects that they have and think, that little thing looks like it could be a light. And so it's fun to repurpose stuff as well. It's really important for me to capture the building not as a pristine, perfect oil painting. You know, I want it to be something that feels really genuine and realistic. And part of that comes the grease and the grime, and thinking about where has water pooled and where has it rusted, and it's all the little details of dirt and grime and rust. And I think it adds another layer of interest to the piece. My favorite detail that I really enjoy putting on the pieces is the signage. So that's what really sells the piece, is when the signage is 100% accurate. So that's one of the few things that I'll 3D print. And once that goes on, that's another thing that really brings it to life. I'm inspired to continue making these miniatures of LA because it feels really important to capture the character and the culture of LA now, because we don't know what it's going to be like in 5 years or 10 years, and are these places still going to be around? It gives the city character and identity and fun, and it's so important to keep these buildings around so the whole city isn't just white boxes. When I very first moved here, I spent all my weekends, all my time just driving around the city and taking in the sights and going to kind of offbeat, unusual places. And a lot of that has translated into the miniature work that I do. And it makes me feel at home here. It makes me feel like a local. It validates me, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay, so we're here at Melrose and La Brea. I'm standing in front of the actual Pink's location. And with me, I have Kieran holding his completed miniature. And so I'm gonna take his portrait here. I'm using the arca-swiss 8x10 camera that I always use with Ilford FP4. And we're gonna be shooting in this direct bright sunlight that's happening here. So I think it's gonna be pretty good. having Kieran right in front of Pink's holding his miniature back there. So let's see how it turns out. Okay, so I have my Pentax spot meter here, and I'm gonna get a reading off of the bright side of Kieran's face, and then I'm also gonna see what the shadow side is doing, and then I'm gonna find out what exposure falls in between where I can hold the highlights and I can hold the shadow side. Okay, so it looks like he was at 8 1/3 at 250. So that's going to be our shutter speed. Just make sure everything's working there. Okay, cool. Set the preview button and let's get focus. This is what the shot looks like. Looks pretty good. Okay. All right, don't move. We're going to go for it. Okay, cock the shutter. Make sure that everything's working. And now we load the film. Make sure everything's good. Always check the front is closed. Right here, very confident in 3, 2, 1. Oh, it's all for that guy. Yeah, awesome. You look great. We're gonna wait for that guy. Okay, we're ready to go. That was awesome. Blocking the light here. Ready in 3, 2, 1. That's it.
Nice. Thank you.
I think Kieran's work is just so amazing. The attention to detail is so cool, and I appreciate all the steps that go into each piece. You can check out more of Kieran's work in the description below, and please consider hitting that like and subscribe button or sharing with a friend. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of Between the Bellows.